Hello, it's another beautiful Sunday. Good evening and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services MPS. The show is streaming live on our social media platforms on Facebook. We are streaming live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are streaming live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Eye on Port Ghana. Our media partner on this journey of a lifetime, as usual, is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all the transpired in the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. We're also going to be getting interactive with you as usual, and so all you have to do is send us your messages and comments ahead via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559-019-177. And when the time is ripe, and I pick the signal from my production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And this week, the Ghana Navy actually has gotten a state-of-the-art, they commissioned actually a state-of-the-art gymnasium to keep the officers fit. Plus the fact that one of our lead sponsors, Goyle Company Limited, has entered into a partnership with the Ghana Football Association. Let's take a look at these stories.
The Ghana Navy, just like other security institutions, requires a healthy and fit group to be able to fulfill its mandate of protecting Ghana's territorial waters, fighting crime at sea, and preserving the integrity of the marine environment. As such, the Navy welcomes all efforts that inure to this goal. In this vein, the Eastern Naval Command Fitness has been christened in Tema to provide a modern facility that naval officers can maintain fitness in. The gymnasium, which cost 1.7 million Ghana cedis, was donated by Vera Transport and Haulage Company Limited, a multi-purpose logistics management company. Delivering a speech at the event, the head of legal and human resource manager at Vera Transport and Haulage Company, Mabel Kwashi, said the ultra-modern facility was designed to contribute to upgrading the standard of fitness and wellness of the Naval Command.
We at Verad believe that a healthy body and mind enhances productivity. So, as part of our corporate social responsibilities, decided to undertake this project with urgency. Facilities are important in the provision of sport and fitness, especially to the security and defense structures in the country at the grassroots levels. Centers like this provide a place to participate in fitness activities.
The outgoing flag officer commanding at the Eastern Naval Command, Commodore Emmanuel Ayensu Kwafo, thanked the management of VERAD for the facility, adding that it fits into the vision of the Ghana Armed Forces at large. He said the Eastern Naval Command Fitness Center adds up to existing sports resources in the command, which will help open up opportunities for all users.
We have a swimming pool, we have a volleyball court, basketball court. But now we have a new ultra-modern gym, which the command can proudly boast of. This will help open a whole diverse opportunity for users. The gym will indeed provide for sports and recreation.
Ghana's leading oil marketing company, Goyle, has continued to demonstrate its commitment to every sphere of national development, and sports development is not left out. Goyle Petroleum Company has entered a 2-year agreement with the Ghana Football Association for the oil marketing company to serve as the official fuel partner of the GFA. This means Goyle will become the sole sponsor of fuel for the GFA at an estimated cost of $200,000, currently 2.6 million Ghana cedis. This adds up to the existing sponsorship Goyle has with 2 of Ghana's big football clubs, Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak. Speaking during the official signing ceremony of the deal, Group CEO and Managing Director of Goyle, Kwame Osei-Prempe, said this business relationship is a demonstration of Goyle's commitment to Ghana.
It has become necessary to extend our hands to the governing body of football in this country, especially at this time when the expectation of every Ghanaian is that we will go to Qatar, not just be there, but be able to improve on our past enviable experience.
On his part, board chairman of Goyle, Reginald Daniel Lai, said the partnership is a manifestation of the shared values between both parties.
Goyle is very proud to align with the GFA, and we give them all our support and all the encouragement. This is only the beginning and not the end of the relationship. We have started and we are determined to explore and exploit the various advantages that will come as a result of this union.
The president of the Ghana Football Association, Keth Edwin Simeon Okraku, said this sponsorship will go a long way to have a positive impact on the deprived areas of sports in Ghana.
As a result of this relationship, our Division 1 clubs who travel through the woods of Ghana would receive support. What that means is that club owners will save more money, and that money can be invested in salaries of our players who are mostly deprived. Go on, thank you.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. It's now time for us to take the word or phrase of the day. And remember that the phrase or word of the day is brought to you so that we can bring you up to speed and help you appreciate the terms and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word is liner. Liner.
Liner. A vessel sailing between specified ports on a regular basis.
All right, so welcome back. It's now time for us to zoom into our discussion proper tonight. Tonight, our discussions are in twofold. One, we're talking about the, proposed review of import standards by the president. You remember, recently in an address to the nation, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo hinted of review of, standards for imports into the country. We're taking a look at what that means and its impact on the economy. And number two, we're going to be taking a look at the application of benchmark values in determining duty payments, that's customs duty payments, at our ports. And so these are the two main discussions we have tonight. And we're going to begin with the one on imports. And with us in the studios to discuss this is Mr. Louis Yaw-Afo. He's a trade and after strategist the APN Group. We'll say good evening once again and welcome. Louis.
Thank you. Good
evening. It's always a delight to have you on the show.
Thank you, and good evening to your viewers.
Right. All right, so you heard the president when he delivered the address to the nation and hinted of this all-important, policy that's going to be rolled out, the review of standards for imports. First of all, just tell us what you make of that particular, declaration by the president.
I think, first of all, let me commend Metro and Eye of the Port for the continuous and sustainable program, especially on the ESCFTA and also on trade.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I think that you should be branded just as Magdan Shipping Company has branded after.
Yes.
The Eye of the Port also should be given that branding attaché for reportage.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Coming to the question that you asked, yes, I listened to the president and I could feel that almost the things that he spoke about, every minister should pick something from what applies to his or her agency. That's the way I saw it. So if you look at the question you asked me, one of them really fits directly with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and then the National Coordinating Office of the ESCFTA. Because it seems the president seems to be more even conversant with the after some of the compatriots. I think what he was pointing in there was that a lot of our import deficits, trade deficits from import side, could be solved through after.
Right.
And that is true. Why? Because why do we even go in for after in effect? Because of preferences. Because we want to have an import substitution economy. And that is why we joined after, to have intra-trade. Because the cost of export ratio itself is high, let alone talk about import. Because in after, the president, I think, knows that within after, you have, ECOWAS alone have about over 5,000 categories of products.
Yeah.
Categories of products that we have offered as our preferential treatment. So what it means is that if we are doing intra-trade, then it means that if I am sending a commodity or I'm importing a commodity from an after country, it is going to be based upon, one, the tariff regime that that country has signed, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or the 15 years, and two, what is the preferentials? So maybe I want a certain input into an input product, manufacturing product from, let's say, Morocco. Morocco says, okay, I'm giving you these preferences, and I'm within the 5 years category. So therefore, I'm going to give you at a reduced rate, your tariff is going to be maybe 25% of the original duties. That's cut down. And what's going to be the impact? And after, apart from having your 90%, the margins, the brackets, what are the targets? Because without targets, you have to target the kind of products, the kind of goods that at the end of the day, you want to have that import substitution policy. And that is fundamental. That is very, very key. There are some areas in Africa, there are certain products you don't go and mention. That is what I think that the Ministry of Trade should pick up the president's point, and I'm sure it's an interministerial, so they have to do, and we have to do it quickly. Because if you take, for example, Nigeria's steps in the rice production, we all know the incident, and they've gone far. They've gone very, very far. The good news is that if you take after the rules of origin, about 50% our agricultural products. If it's agricultural products, and we are having about, if you look at import size, half is going into more or less not only about industrial products, but more so into other products like the ones you know, sugar, rice, what have you. Clearly, if we target these commodities and have certain implementation strategies, if for example sugar, we import sugar. We have the another one, the one of the Commander Sugar Factory. What is it that we can plant? So this is where we call on the crop experts, our sugar cane. What is the issue? Then we have to have a target and a plan towards it. In the next 5 years, what metric, how are we going to grow? We talk about something like rice, you know. There are so many people growing rice. What is it about the local rice that we don't want to patronize? We should know. What is it? And what is it in the local rice that we think that we have to work on? Then you move to the incentives. What incentive do we give those who are into that industry?
Production of local rice.
Production of local rice. It is at this point that we'll be able, because every country has, even apart from Africa, every country has a certain indigenous product. And that takes us back to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's economic policy of what we call the policy of indigenization. That policy's purpose was to make sure that it was a solution to import substitution. It was a solution to make sure that we grow and patronize what we have. So if you target rice, you target sugar, because these are huge areas of import. You talk about oil. I was even asking somebody, fried oil, those, I mean, I've used fried oil. I mean, all the cooking, most of the cooking, is it not coming from palm tree? Is it not? Since when did Ghana begin to have shortages in palm trees? Then quickly we have to look at it. That is it that we are cutting down these trees for, you know, that famous, is it in Sefo, local term?
Palm wine,
Palm wine. Why are we cutting? Are we cutting? Or is construction taking the place of this? The last time we met, I made the issue that I'm not sure Ghana currently can boast of 60,000 metric tons of coconut. Because coconut has extracts, final product, final for oil, cooking oil. The same thing, palm. How come that a country like Malaysia that doesn't have, let me say, the environment for palm can now boast more of production than us?
With coconut, I'm aware the Ghana Export Promotion Authority is helping some organizations for cultivation. And recently in the Authority region, they held a coconut festival there. And I think even in recently, they went to another region for same purpose. And so I'm sure that we'll be scaling up
for the
production of coconut.
Things, like I said,
export,
it's there. It's not there. This time, look, we have gone beyond events. We are talking about the output. What are the facts, the figures? It is after this. You just said event. I am aware of the NED, the National Export Development Strategy of GEPA. But the question is, I'm saying that if somebody today can Ghana boast of 60,000 metric tons of that is the question I'm asking. So if it's a policy in about 2 years, 3 years, that's a different matter. I'm saying currently, if we are going by what the president said, that we need to have import standards, and we are going to look into import substitution. What are our targets? What products are we targeting? What goods are we targeting? What is the implementation? What are the timelines? These are these are the questions we need to be answering. And I also have to look at it. Those times when these were being implemented, today is something being the opportunity cost. Is it construction for the coconut per se? Because if we have a lot of coconut, I'm sure that these days people are changing. You can buy coconut oil. So I'm saying that it can work. apart from the fact that we also have to look at the issue of, and this is the right time. If you look at African Development Bank have committed huge sums of money to agriculture products. Because the last time I said that, look, if you're under the economy, and in that economy, 90% of expenditure is on food, there's not going to be investment because everything's going on food. Therefore, you tackle food security, and food security is broad.
Right.
We say that, for example, we have, and I think that, Mona, we need to look and listen to the Council for Scientific Industrial Research.
Yeah.
Those that are in crops, those that are animals, yeah, because they have done so many hybrids. They've come out with so many research. I met some investors in my office recently who are coming up with very powerful technology where even in terms of cows, milking, they have what it takes for them to milk over 100 times.
Okay. So I think your point is well made, but I just want to find out from you. I think that the issue of balancing our trade has been a long-standing one, exports vis-a-vis import and all that. And would you say that this call by the president to review the standard for imports by May next year, hopefully, is opportune, or you think that it's long overdue?
Well, it's long overdue. Like I said, it's long overdue. You see, there was a kind of, to me, there was a kind of institutional difficulties. If you look at our economy, well, because some time ago, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center was under who?
Authorities, no authority.
Yes, authority was under who?
Yeah.
Initially, they were
GIPC, yeah.
GIPC, they were under Office of the President. Yeah, they are still not authority yet. So some time back, one would say it was under Ministry of Trade. Because you realize that there were certain trade policies that these two organizations, if you listen to Guta World, they were either fighting GIPC or they are fighting Ministry of Trade. If you go to Ministry of Trade, they say GIPC. So if we are given ourselves between now and May, then it means that the president by this time should have been briefed which department or agency is going to align itself with that. Is that Greek? Is it trade? Is it GIPC? Or is it GEPA?
Okay.
So if we are able to really know the supervising agency or institution that is going to implement the president's call, then they have to start now and align, or they work interministerial. And if we do that, yes, we can start with some of the product, because I'm sure that from January to now, those who are growing rice, local production of rice, by this time we'd have reached a certain demand or supply. Balance it. Then at least you cut down on the extraordinary volumes that we're having in the during the year.
Now, you are a trade expert. I just want to find out from you what you think are some of the issues that the president identified or the government identified culminating in this decision to review the standard for imports.
I think that critically, once you are importing and you are not exporting, you're going to have problems with your forex. And like I said earlier, in any economy, when there's the general level of prices rising, and you have about 70% being food, then there is a problem. And you also look at your import, you realize that food also takes a lot of chunk of it. Then I think they start and realize, look, if we decide, if we are going to be, we are going to benefit from anything, then we need to implement a quick import substitution policy. So what advising was that at the end of the day, we can try with some of the commodities like rice, and try some of the commodities like oil. We don't need to look far beyond Africa. Let's look within the after member states. Which country can really give us that comparative advantage? I think when we begin to do that, and I know we have the experts, comparative advantage of these products, then we can be able. For example, if you take the teas and coffees, you know that when you go to East Africa, they have the comparative advantage. So we need to broaden where in Africa under the member states can we get our where we don't necessarily need to use forex. Why?
Right.
Because we have the Pan-African payment and settlement system, where you have to transfer money in your own local currency, and then another recipient is going to receive it in their local currency. The dollar doesn't even come in at all. This is very, very important. So I think that this is what is advising him. He has made, the president has given a statement, a speech. It's not the implementation agency. Those who are working under can begin to look at the odds that is facing them at this point.
Right. Let's take a look at the benefits that would accrue to the state should we be able to review the standards in May next year.
I like the way you
what are some of the benefits?
Giving you are really emphasizing the timelines.
Yes. That was what the president mentioned. That's why I am emphatic
we
on that.
We are all hoping that the festive season will be good for everyone. But if you look ideally, normally between January, you realize that the disposable income of people are normally down. So if you are looking at the first quarter, then it must be a time that people have really saved. Okay. Number two, you also realize companies are now forecasting. That is where we have to really look at the system and see whether people would like to depend upon homegrown, or they are going to look at. So the benefits are going to be one. We are going to, if we're able to do that, we are going to save ourselves the forest.
Right.
Number two, we are going to help companies that can do it locally to be able to maximize their capacity. If they can't help them, give them stimulus package. That's what we need to do, give them stimulus package. And if we want to do it, we should consider it as a national issue, a national crisis. Why? Because during the COVID time in the US, you realize that there was this, they have this national policy where companies that were not even manufacturing certain products have been called upon to support that. So they leave what they are supposed to manufacture and focus on what. So we can take that approach. It's a national crisis. So companies that initially, like the Unilevers, can they be, because most of them are even still importing the raw materials. Can we look at the exportable chain right from the farms to these companies and say, look, we can come halfway. Government can say, we'll help with the infrastructure, we can have a small package. Let us see how best within now and maybe we can put in something, half of your raw materials from Ghana here, so they can produce and lower the cost. We can do that between now and May, because already some of the products that we are even going to target, they are already growing. So you are giving yourself some of the product. It doesn't take more than 5 months for them to harvest. So I think that food has been taking the chunk of our import, our trade deficits. So the other benefit we are going to have is that, like I said, when you begin to have more surplus of these targeted policy supplies, prices drop.
Right.
So the average person will now begin to feel that, okay, I go to the market with this amount of average income. I know that I'll be able to have a certain basket full of these things. I don't have to wait for them to import, because once those who are importing these things are not coming, then there's that shortages pulling here and there. So within that environment, if we're able to do that, average person can be able to go to the market and buy more of these products, and then at a certain average, prices, using the after as a tool.
All right. So let me just. You made mention of the fact that the pronouncement by the president is indicative that he perhaps wants to see a shift. That government wants to see a shift from our trade balance. And you said that by now, government or the president should have been able to identify which agency should align its operations when this review is done, so that we can have a smooth implementation of this and all that. I just want to find out from you, what are some of the things we need to do in order that we can have this implemented smoothly and effectively? Because 5 months is, May is just barely 5 months away. And so if we are really going to be able to do this, it means that we have to hit the ground running right now. So I just want to find out from you, what are some of the things that we should be looking at doing just to set the ground and to set the tone for the implementation?
Yes, I made mention that it's not the president who should know. I'm saying that most of the ministries or ministers or agencies under of the president, by the time he had finished speaking, they should be able to identify themselves with whatever he said. And I'm saying that if I was behind him and the Minister of Trade, I could pick something from there. If I'm the National After Office, I know I'll pick something from there. GIPC will pick something from. So what they need to do now is to have a serious interministerial work.
Right.
That is the same approach they used, especially when they were coming out to the after national policy, Ghana national policy on after. Why? There was an interministry for Minister of Foreign Affairs or Trade Minister. So you take Minister of Agric, you take Exim Bank, that is supposed to promote growing Ghana, made in Ghana, what have you. So you take SMA, you take GEPA. All those institutions at this time should be aligned. If they were aligned already, they should give me a new direction. That look, we have a target in May. We say we want to make sure that we come out with this import standards, new reviewed, so we don't have time at all. Come out with something, work in unison.
Right.
So that if Ministry of Agric that knows that this is what is being the constraint, and will need the support of maybe Ministry of Trade. Trade comes in. If Ministry of Agric think that, okay, where we have reached, we need the support of Exim, Ghana Exim Bank, then Ghana Exim Bank will come on board. If Ghana Exim Bank feel that this time what we need is that we need Ministry of Transport. Maybe the goods are, we are producing within, but we need the transportation to connect goods to the market or the manufacturing, the linkage. The Ministry of Transport will also come out with something. If the Ministry of Transport feels that, look, we are ready to put this, but the roads are not good to the fund. Okay, then Ministry of Roads and Highways also comes in. So there should be that interministerial alignment. And not just an alignment, an agency.
Yeah.
A ministerial agency that we are at a critical state. So what we have to do, we have to make sure that we are at the same, we are on the same page. This is how we can be able to make that.
All right. Okay. We're just wrapping up with you. I just want to finally find out from you what shape or form do you think that this review should take?
I think that basically, like I said earlier, for me, I think that it to take a gradual steps. Okay, the shape should be gradual. It should be all stakeholders on board, because you are not going to stop. In any case, a majority of those who import these huge projects are not Ghanaians.
Right.
Ghanaians, in terms of shareholder structure, most of them are not. So therefore, we have a solution on that side. Therefore, how do you engage those stakeholders? So it has to be a stakeholder engagement with those who import in theirs.
Right.
Okay. And then also we have to look, like I said, then the next approach is that those who are already in the system, who are already doing it, what stimulus package can we give them? What technical assistance can we give them? I think when we start from those fronts, we'll be able to alleviate some of the difficulties that we find ourselves in. And I think above all, when we begin to do that, the exchange rates, the CD will have a way to appreciate.
Right.
So that we, in the end, don't all focus on importing, but rather input manufacturing products.
Right.
That one, if you import it, if you import an industrial machine and you are going to produce more here and later develop something else, it's far more industrialization outlook than just, going for the product that you can just consume, consumables just over there.
Right. Okay, so we say a very big thank you to Louis Awaful. He's a trade and after strategist with the APN Group. We've been discussing the proposed review of standards for imports and its impact on the economy. This was announced by His Excellency President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo in his address on the economy to the nation last week. And he's shared his thoughts with us, and we are hoping, against hopes, that we will see the implementation of the review so that we can balance our trade. That's something we've all advocated for all this while. Thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll have you again some other time.
Thank you for
having me. Have a super week ahead. Viewers, we're going for a quick break. When we bounce back, the show will continue. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. My money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the project and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. We are now zooming into our second discussion for tonight as our second topic, and we're discussing how to apply the benchmark values in determining the payment or customs duties at the ports, application of benchmark values in determining customs duties at the port. So we just want to find out what this whole process is about and what the customs, division of the Ghana Revenue Authority is doing in our ports as far as the payment of duties is concerned, and how they arrive at the values of duties that people pay when they import their cargo into the country. And so that's to do this discussion tonight is Mr. Bilsing Jabad Atagba. Bilsing Jabad Atagba. He is a principal revenue officer at the Customs Technical Services Bureau, the Customs headquarters. That's the GRA headquarters. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening.
I know this is your first time on the show.
Yeah, this is my first time, actually impromptu, but I'll try and go through.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Thank you very much for obliging us.
Engagements
Absolutely.
that we had with Customs and
Absolutely.
Education with the public.
Thank you very much.
I'm very happy about that.
We're grateful. Thank you. Thank you. So first of all, let's go to basics and find out from you what the valuation by customs is all about and how the values are arrived at.
Customs valuation actually is a procedure, customs procedure that is used to determine the economic value of goods that are imported into the country from the exporting country. It's actually has the WTO rules and agreements which has been harmonized in our Customs Act 2015, that's Act 891, and the implementation of GATT 7, 1994. So those rules govern the valuation of these goods that come into the country. In short, basically, what it means is that it forms the tax base by which customs duties are calculated. In effect, that is what happens. So in the era of Brazil's definition of valuation, where we have the market price as the normal price from the market, where you just pick on any market price and use as a base for valuation. Those days are gone. Now we are in the positive concept, which is derived from the agreement with the WTO, which requires all member countries, of which Ghana is one, that every country that belongs to WTO should enshrine or harmonize those agreements, which is the Article 7, GATT 1994, and its national legislation, in which we can find in the Customs Act 2015, Act 891. So those rules there, or agreement, governs valuation process of customs. So the tax base that we use in determining our duties for importers is what is called the customs value.
Yes.
And it begins by the importer providing us with the invoice or data or documents that show those values. It must have mandatorily the Incoterms, which is the international commercial terms that is built up by the International Chamber of Commerce based on the international commercial laws. We use those Incoterms to actually arrive at our acceptable tax base of CIF, which we use in Ghana. We have 11 Incoterms. We have the S-Works, we have the FOB, free alongside ship, free carriage, carriage paid to, carriage duty paid to terminal, and all that. 11 of them.
11 of them, okay.
But our most concern is arriving at the CIF,
the cost of insurance,
which is the customs value. So we just try to ensure that we get our CIF from whatever document is presented to us, for which we can build our compute our customs duty on. So basically, that is what we use by calculating our custom duties. So those are the values that we derive from the documents presented to us by importers. Some of them falsified, some of them forged, for which you have facilitation or going on with trade. So basically, that is the meaning of customs valuation. Thank you.
All right. So let me find out from you. Sometimes we have importers complaining about the fact that they have brought, the same commodity from the same country, and one is valued higher and perhaps the other is lower. What accounts for this?
Yes. One is valued higher and one is valued lower. You are not specific, but I know where you're coming from. It is not about one being valued higher than the other. We have a lot of factors.
Yes.
They can come from the same country. In the elements of valuation, we have 3 elements, which is the customs value, the commodity classification, and the origin of the goods.
Okay.
Apart from these 3 elements that help in the assessment of duties, we have other factors that will actually affect the final duty payment.
Right.
These factors can be the port of loading, where the goods are coming from. You can buy the same goods from America, but you might have loaded from different port of loading to Ghana. So that cost of transport, the freight charges, that is the cost of transport, will also be different. The other handling charges, if it is X-Works, like I said, Incoterm, and you have to pay for your own transport, look for these things, you might not get the best costs for those transports. So depending on who your freight forwarder is over there, just as in Ghana, you have higher class and lower class. So you might have taken a higher class person who would have given you a higher cost. So definitely, you bought a thing from the same country, but you are shipping from different ports of loading, you have different handling charges, you have different packaging costs, you have all kinds of things. If it is X-Works, we have to add that. If the seller will have to bear to the point of the vessel where it is the FOB, once it gets on board, free on board, all those charges may be different from somebody who has his Incoterm as FAS, free and alongside ship. He put it here, and the rest will have to be borne by him. If it is a cost and freight, cost and freight means that the seller will be responsible for the payment of the cost of transport, and the duty, the cost of the goods. So that one, you may see some variation based on the Incoterms provided.
Yeah.
So they may be the same, they may be coming from the same country, having the same value, having the same classification, coming from the same country of origin, but those other factors actually affect the total duty payable. So in effect, that is what happens. So they are never the same when it comes to what do you call it? The final duty payable. Yes, that is what happened. Yeah.
You mentioned FOB, you mentioned FAS.
Yes.
Can you expatiate on these?
FOB, FAS, those are the Incoterms that I'm talking of. They are the 11 Incoterms.
You said 11, yes. You mentioned some earlier.
2020.
Yeah.
FOB is the free on board.
Yes.
That requires. It just tells you who is responsible for the carriage of goods from one point to the other. The responsibility between the buyer and the seller. The responsibility, the obligations, and the risks that must be borne. Is it going to be borne by the buyer? Is it going to be borne by the seller? So by that, the Incoterm defines who is responsible for the payment of freight, who is responsible for the payment of insurance, who is responsible for all other things. If it is DDP, which is delivered duty paid, it means that the seller is responsible till the goods come to our country, and he pays even the duty. Okay, so the importer just goes for it. FOB, the seller is responsible for the payment of all the other handling charges cost to the vessel until it enters the vessel. The buyer is not responsible. Free alongside ship, the seller brings it to the vessel or brings it to a warehouse. He's responsible for that. So you give costs of all those things to the seller as having borne those costs. The buyer then takes over. So whatever happens, you realize that in most cases, the seller is not responsible for the insurance, all that kind of thing. The buyer will be responsible for the insurance. Even though the insurance, by the marine insurance, they have a percentage they calculate, but nationally, we have our percentage that we calculate. So even though you pay your insurance when you come here, we'll recalculate the insurance based on the acceptable 0.875% of the value. That is cost and freight.
Okay. All right. So has there been an upward adjustment of duties at the ports?
If you say upward adjustment, of course, everybody is bearing the brunt of the economic downturn. We are all suffering from it. Nobody. I cannot clear my goods freely. I will have to pay. I buy from the same market. You buy from the same market. So definitely I can see that cost of things are going up. But apparently, and surprisingly, it is not the customs value that has gone up. Custom value hasn't gone up, but it is the other factors. You are buying from a country of exports. The cost of goods there is high, has gone high. The cost of handling charges has gone high. The cost of transportation has gone high. Hitherto, you could pay 3,000 on freight, but today you pay 10,000 for a 20-footer. Okay? So if they don't tell you, from 3,000 to 10,000, that is from the country of export. That is increase in cost. Then other costs like port charges, when you come here, Gapua charges and handling charges, all those things, they are part of the cost. Okay? Customs, it is the same value we apply. But the most important thing is the global recession is affecting everybody. The inflation, which has to do with the consumer price index, that is per household, has also gone up. And exchange rates, which is the average price rise, keeps on increasing due to the instability in the balance of payment by government, because government's credits is smaller than the government payment. So because of that, our instability in the balance of payment is affecting our foreign exchange rates. Unfortunately, the Bank of Ghana cannot regulate, cannot manipulate the exchange rates. People are saying the Bank of Ghana should peg the exchange rate for a period of time, 6 months, give it $10, 10 cedis. It is not allowed by the WTO regulations. You cannot, by the WTO and the international trade, change the exchange rate by your own. The market forces of demand and supply drives the price mechanism that affects these things.
Right.
So Bank of Ghana per se, which is in control of the monetary policy, cannot change the exchange rate to some extent. Therefore, we have been affected by that. So those factors that I've mentioned, did I mention value? I've not mentioned value.
Yeah.
You realize that most of these factors, unfortunately, our tax base, which is the CIF, those 9 tax elements that are the duty elements, the tax elements that are involved in the payment of duty on each product are tied to the exchange rate. Because they are tied to the exchange rate, if it's high, definitely you pay higher. Is that not it?
Yeah.
Before you calculate, you multiply by this. And we have the ad valorem type of duty payment. Specific is just like 1 CD. Those days, they say 1 CD, pay 1 CD. As it happened in Liberia, bring 500 CDs on saloon car. Whether the capacity is different or not, they don't care. But we are applying the ad valorem type of duty, which is percentage criterion, in the sense that you have to get a tax base and apply a percentage of the rates on those tax bases.
Right.
So in all the tax elements, they are affected by the exchange rate. So once the exchange rate keeps on fluctuating, soaring, we are not.
Yeah, of course. I asked that question because some importers have come up to say, the duty they pay has gone up.
Yes,
quite
exactly.
astronomically.
So their thinking is that it's customs that is increasing the values, but the declarants, the agents, who are very intellectual ones, know very well that it is not from us. We do not increase. In fact, some prices have gone down, have been reduced globally.
Right.
Due to government policies and subsidies that the exporting countries have given to them. They've taken advantage of the opportunity cost in their countries there to shift to other products that are marketable. Therefore, when there's competition and demand is lower than supply, definitely prices will fall. So those countries have their prices down. Rice, metals, they've come down, because the prices in those countries are all now reduced.
Right.
So in what I know you are interested in, which is the benchmark thing, those prices are lower here, but the effect or the impact will not be felt by the trading community because of what? Other factors that you are not thinking of, nobody is thinking of. All they are thinking of is the pricing, the values that we give. No, we don't change values drastically. We are very, very conversant. We are very much aware of the higher inflation. We are very much aware of the exchange rate in the country. And by that, we are very, very careful in doing things that are untoward. Commissioner General will not allow such things to happen. Our Commissioner of Customs will not allow that to happen as well.
Right.
So basically, that is what happens.
Okay. So I know that there are 6 methods of valuation as outlined by the World Trade Organization, and that's what you rely on. I know you rely on the first of the 6. Can you walk us through these and which ones are applicable in Ghana?
Yes, thank you. The primary method is the transaction value method, as you mentioned. That is the method 1. The WCO requires that if all documents are genuine, and not falsified, not forged, not adulterated, and they are genuine prices paid for those commodities, we are bound to accept. So what that method explains is that it explains that valuation method to be price actually paid or payable for goods sold for export to the importing country. So if that is the actual price you paid for that, and your documents are genuine, even if it is $1, we are bound to accept it. We don't have to reject it. If it is genuine, we have to accept it. So that is the method 1, which we are gearing towards to achieve once the trading community become compliant with all the rules governing trade. Yeah. So the other ones, which are secondary valuation methods, are 5. In addition to this one, method 2 has to do with the transaction value of identical goods Identical goods simply means a goods that in all the characteristics, physically, by quality, by reputation, are the same in all respects.
Right.
They don't change. If it is this, the label, everything will be the same. Those are what we call identical. So if the transaction value, the method 1, I reject that value by not accepting that value for the importer, my next line will be a sequential movement down the other valuation methods. You have to go hierarchical by moving from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, then 3 to 4. But there's a caveat there. I will explain. So the identical value method is for goods that are very identical. And there are conditions binding on those valuation method in the sense that they must be produced by the same producer, they must have come from the same country of export, and they must have come around the same time of the one you are comparing with. You brought the thing I can't value. I have to look in my database whether there's an identical product that is in the system that we have valued before or that we have accepted their value before. So the commercial level, which has to do with whether it was bought from a wholesaler, a retailer, or that kind of thing, a factory, that is the commercial. The quantity level, how much quantity do you buy compared to the ones I'm comparing with? So those quantity level, commercial level, and all those things are taken into consideration in arriving at. So when you bring your goods and I can't accept your value, I'll communicate with you that I cannot accept your value. You are bound, burden of proof lies on you to prove to me that these values are genuine. But where we can see that you cannot prove to us that is, we move on to that identical valuation method. And we look out for a data that we have accepted value for that identical and apply. If the quantity is different, we adjust the value based on the quantity. You get it? The quantity level, we adjust. That is where they think that we just play around values. We consider those quantity levels, commercial levels, to do our adjustments. Let's not forget the valuation method 1 has to do with other adjustments. When it comes, you have to adjust apart from the FOB, CIF distance that you have. You need to adjust to add to the cost of that product by way of adding packaging costs, assist, royalties, license fees, and other insurance and freight. The assist has to do with goods of no value or reduced value, because you, the buyer, can send some products or some components or parts to the supplier to add to it. Some goods are consumed, some are incorporated in the product. The royalties has to do with copyright, patent fee, and the trademark. All those things we add to it. Selling commission, where the seller is the one who paid for that. That one too must be added. Buying commission, because the buyer deals with the agents directly, it is not to the benefit of the seller. We do not add that one. So that exception is there. Buying commission must not be added to this. So those are the adjustments by Article 8 of our law ACV that we do. So again, coming to identical value method, I think we've exhausted that. You understand, right? Now from there, if I do not accept your identical value method, I move on to method 3. But transaction value of similar goods. Similar goods are goods that resemble. This one resembles this. Okay, if it is water, it resembles this. So if I do not get this, I can use this because they perform the same function. They are not different. Once they are commercially interchangeable, they are substitutes that I can use. I can use that one to determine the value. They have the same conditions as the identical value method. So those conditions I mentioned for identical value method are applicable to the similar goods as well. So if I accept, I have to exhaust. Oh, you want to ask a question?
Yes, I just wondered. I think that with the methods, you are not the one that is important to us. Yeah. You've already elaborated on your show. Exactly.
Up to similar, but I wanted to mention that caveat of Article 4. All these things are defined by the articles.
Okay.
Method 1, Article 1, Method 2, Article 2, Method 3, Article 3.
Right.
Article 4, there's no method there, but it gives a provision, the right to the importer to choose between method 4 and method 5,
right,
which is the deductive value method and the computed value method.
Okay.
The importer can choose to use for you to apply the computed value method over the deductive value method. And the computed value method, the deductive value method has to do with the local market sales, where you go to the importer that is dealing with a similar or identical goods. You ask him of the details of his pricing. How much do you sell this? He said 40 Ghana. How much is the duty paid in the port? He mentions. How much are the other charges or expenses you make, profit, all those things. You add those things and take it from a sales price. Then the difference is what becomes our customs value.
Okay.
The computed value method has to do with details provided by the exporting country, the exporter, where the exporter gives us details of his expenses in terms of material cost, in terms of expenses, in terms of his profits, and everything that has to do with the production.
Right.
And that we add the insurance and freight and arrive at our CI.
Okay.
That is it. So
all right. Okay, sure. All right, I'll come to you so that you tell us what the benchmark value is and whether it's being, applied in the ports. But let me, announce that the phone lines have been activated. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes, the benchmark value. I know it was reviewed,
yeah, the benchmark value.
Yes.
The benchmark value, let me see that it is an internal risk assessment tool we use. Internal risk assessment tool or management tool that we use administratively to reconcile non-compliant declarants with compliant declarants. Yeah. We use it to also help to detect over-invoicing and under-invoicing, under-valuation, declaration, valuation. So, in effect, it helps to check commercial fraud or procurement fraud.
Yeah.
So, by this, I think post-clearance audit also uses it. A lot of people use it. We use it to align, to sanitize our database, where, in a computer, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So definitely, when you have things to guide you, it's a guide. We can call it a guide or a yardstick. It's not a valuation method.
Right.
We don't use it sacrosantly. We don't apply it just like that. We use it to reconcile, to risk analyze. Risk management unit uses it a lot to see the deviation of a particular product. Why is somebody giving $5? Why is somebody giving $10?
Yeah.
They use it to align that. By getting the true reflection of the international price or the export price, that is what we use. So from the TPD, from the invoices, from the SWIFTs, from the letters of credit, and from the stakeholder engagements, where industrial stakeholders give us information on values, and from some very high-level integrity, distance level companies, we apply those things. We compile them as a data just to guide us to analyze, especially to reconcile the non-compliant declarants with the compliant.
Okay. I understand we have a Siedu or so on the line. Let's go and welcome him. Good evening, sir. Hello? Hello? Okay, I understand he's off. Well, you can also call. The number to dial is 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes. Okay, so that has to do with the benchmark value, as we just explained.
Yeah. So, like I explained, it is not a valuation method.
Are they meant to, substitute transactional values?
Yes, it's not for value substitution. It is not for value substitution.
Okay.
Again, like I said, it is not a valuation method. They are not values we use. We use it to reconcile, to kind of sanitize our own system to guard against what we do. Whether somebody else is giving too low value, too high a value, whether there's some commercial fraud, whether there's some procurement fraud. This procurement fraud, this commercial fraud affects domestic tax payments, where apart from you paying the lower taxes for undervaluation, we have to bring you up to scratch with the competitors, because you cannot be paying low, others will be paying. You get it?
Yeah.
So bring it. If you overpay, that is over invoicing. With the tech, we have to find out how you're doing that, because by that over invoicing, it's affecting your total profit, because the more cost you have reduces your profit margin.
Right.
Therefore, domestic tax payments will reduce. Is that not it?
Absolutely.
So the domestic units will not have much income to collect from that angle. So when we over invoice, it means a lot to us. So we have to interrogate that by way of investigations. So we use this benchmark, so-called benchmark, which we do not use anymore,
right,
because it has become a demon. It actually worried us because of the misconstrued conception about it. It is not for valuation, it is just for our administrative internally usage. We don't use it at all. So because the government in the past, using the discount policy of 50%, introduced that benchmark. I think that is what emphasized or made it so apparent to people that, hey, anything benchmark use means that it is high. It is not like that. The government use it. I think they use it to say that 50% discount on benchmark items. But in actual fact, the 50% discount was to all over 6,000 products commercially traded.
Right.
And it is not on the unit values, it is on the duty payable or duty paid. Okay? That 50%, which now is 30%, is applicable to all products over 6,000. So it is not benchmark items that only enjoy the discount.
Okay.
You get it?
Hold your fire. Let's go to the phone lines and welcome Raphael onto the show. He's calling us from Accra, and then we'll continue. Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Please, I want you to ask him. So, what of we those who cross the border, like Aflau border to Togo? So the 5 cities they are taking from us, what is it for?
5 cities?
Yeah, the immigration, the customs are taking from us.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And you are not receipted? They don't give you receipts for that?
No, please.
What did they tell you the 5 cities is for?
Before you cross the border, you have to pay something.
But that's for immigration, not customs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that this one is out of place, because it's immigration that has to regulate the movement, in and out of borders and points of exit and entry. And so I think that the questions are applicable. Thank you very much indeed, though. You can also call 020-552-5383, 020-552-8353, and then contribute to the discussion. Yes, so you are still on.
I was still on the benchmark?
Absolutely, yes.
So like I said, it's not a substitute, it's not for value substitution.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that is what we got to.
Okay, so at what point does customs apply flexible and reasonable valuation methods?
Exactly. That is the method 6 to those other values, method 1 to 5. In actual fact, that method 6, which is the fallback value method, the fallback value method, it is not a method on its own. It's when all other methods have been rejected. 1 rejected, 2 rejected, 3 rejected, 4 rejected by customs, 5 rejected. Then it behoves on you to go back to flexibly, reasonably relax the conditions, the rules governing those articles of valuations of 1 to 5. So what it means is that method 1 says there must be sale. Okay? If there's no sale, you cannot accept the person's value. So over there, if you have to relax the rule that if there's no sale, what do you do? Okay? Commercial level, or it must come from the same country.
Okay, so let's go to the phone lines and come back, Mr.
Bilson.
Yeah, sure, Bilson. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. I understand you are calling us all the way from Asante Achimagogo.
Yes, please.
All right, please flow.
Please, my question is, why do they charge in dollars?
Why do they charge in dollars?
Yeah.
You mean duties, payment of duty?
Yeah.
We don't charge
I don't think it's quoted in dollars.
We don't charge in. We convert to cedis. What you?
Well, they take dollars. They will
No.
charge you in.
No, we don't charge in dollars. Your values come in foreign currencies. So what we do is to convert by using the exchange rate of the time to convert to cedis. So your duty payable definitely will be in cedis.
Okay.
Right. Thank you very much, Frank. Yes. So you were still explaining at what point you apply flexible and reasonable
Yes, so
valuation methods.
You reasonably, flexibly lower the conditions. They said identical goods, transaction value of identical goods must come from the same exporter, the same producer, the same country, the same time, commercial level, all this. So you relax the rules by saying that, fine, if you don't get it from Belgium and Netherlands, it's in Europe, you have to go and look for values that are from Europe, okay, that are from Netherlands. If you have similar distances in the data, then you apply it.
Yes.
Okay. So it's just a matter of relaxing all those rules because we have rejected or they have failed to meet the conditions.
Okay.
Then we allow them to be used, but they are mostly used on things that are intangible, like software, like assists, and other things.
Let's welcome Ahmed from Medina onto the show. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please flow.
May you live blessed and protected for this program.
Amen. 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 Thank you.
My question is, what is the difference between the customs and the immigration? Because I know the immigration, they are in charge of asking you of your passport or your ID. But sometimes you see the customs asking you about your ID and or your passport from the border or somewhere else. I could remember some years back, I was coming from Togo. We reached a border, we saw the customs there. They asked us to come down and each and everyone should show out his ID or passport. I said, no, customs, you are not responsible for that. It's immigration. So it looks like customs are taking the work of immigration. So I want my brother, may Allah bless him, to give us light about the work of customs and immigration. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so you just draw the dichotomy between your role and then the role of the immigration service.
Immigration is concerned about the human beings. Okay? The human beings, the passengers crossing borders from or to one country. Customs, before the introduction of immigration, customs was playing agency rules. We could do anybody's work. We could do policeman's work. We could do immigration, anybody's work when they are not there. So we have that power to perform those duties. And when it comes to goods, customs can ask you whether you are a Ghanaian. Because if you are not a Ghanaian and you are driving a foreign registered car into the country, it means that you are a foreigner. So you must have some necessary documents. If you are coming into the country and you don't have some documents, or you want to be granted exemptions on some distance, we need to know your identity. So unless immigration is over there, fine. But if immigration is not there, customs can still perform those agency
functions.
duties.
Okay. All right. I understand we have Kwesi or so on the line. Good evening, sir. Esiedu.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, my name is Esiedu.
Yes.
Please, I want to know if there is another app for the German cars and then other Asia countries to check the duty for duty checker.
Okay. All right.
That's
Thank you.
I cannot tell. I do not work with the vehicle units. So unless you call the vehicle unit.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I said what we'll do is that we'll try and get some response from the vehicle valuation unit and then give you a response, perhaps in our bid version or even next week. And so my producers will take note of it, and then we'll get back to you. Mr. Atagwa is not able to give us a definite response on that because he doesn't belong to the vehicle unit. All right. So I just want to find out from you as an importer, if I come in with my goods and then I get the customs values and I feel that, okay, these values are unfair, am I entitled, do I have the right to appeal to the Commissioner General and write to the Commissioner General and say, look, I have this and I think it's unfair and so I need you to get me some redress? Before you come in with that response, let's go on to the phone lines and welcome another caller. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Please shoot.
My name is Sylvester. I'm calling from Kumasi.
Okay.
I want to know what cost averaging is and under what circumstance is it used? And if it is being used, which of the two currencies is considered?
The question again?
Please, Mr. Ataba is not clear with the question. Can you come again?
My question is, what is cost averaging? And then when it is used, which of the two currencies is used?
Okay, cost averaging.
Cost averaging.
What is cost averaging? And if it is used, which of the currencies is used?
Yes, please.
Cost averaging.
Yes.
What is that? Cost averaging. No.
Yeah.
Currencies, we accept all foreign currencies once it's coming from that country of origin. Wherever you bought the goods from, if you bought it from UK, it must be in pounds or euro. When you buy it from the US, it must be in dollars. But the common currency being used is the dollars.
Okay.
The US dollars, I mean.
All right. So let's go back to my question of whether I have the right to appeal to the Commissioner General if I deem that the values I have gotten from customs are unfair.
Yes, you have the right.
Yeah.
Article 11 of the ACV allows you to appeal. That is appeal to the Commissioner General.
Okay, let's go to Emmanuel and then go. I think Emmanuel would have to be our last caller, and then you can have time. Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Kindly ask Mr. Bill Banya.
Hello.
Mr. Bill Banya. Good evening. Yeah. Custom officer is my brother.
Okay.
At Tema Port.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
It's my brother.
Right.
Around the time we were at the Meridian Hotel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have a question?
My question is that, what is the meaning of that benchmark value? The meaning of benchmark value. That's what I mean.
Thank you. There's nothing like benchmark value henceforth. Henceforth, what we have is the reference price list. Because of that indoctrination, that connotation of benchmark value as a demon. So we have decided not to use that word. Benchmark value simply is a yardstick. It's a guide.
Okay, yeah. So if you can look, if your camera is here, so you can look here, Mr. Ataba.
Oh, my camera is here.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can face your camera once you address the issue. He's watching you.
The benchmark value is a yardstick. It's a yardstick. It's a guide. It's a risk assessment tool that is internally used by us to guide us in our valuation, to risk analyze, to check commercial fraud, to check procurement fraud, for post-clearance audits to determine who is paying higher, who is paying lower, to check the level of deviation by competitors. So that if a competitor comes to report, you need to go into the system to risk analyze by use of those things. And you can only use that by an established reference point. And that established reference point is what we call the reference price list. Hitherto called the benchmark value.
Okay, right. So hold on. Let's go and pick our last caller. In fact, my producer said we can pick one more caller. And so we are having Joshua, who's calling us all the way from Hohoi. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes.
Please, I would like to ask the custom officer. It's about car. I want to ask him whether can a car be a be established as tempered chassis after it has been cleared and passed through all the due and the diligent and constituted processes. Because I have a car now that the custom office is holding that is being tempered with. After I have all the legitimate and the valid document being cleared by custom division, but they are still holding it. And I'm following the process, but the process is delaying. So I would like to know if how they come about by establishing that tempered chassis.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, the vehicle
Okay,
units.
Joshua, don't go. My producers will talk to you behind, you know.
No, I can
but Mr. Atagwa will address it. Will also address it. Yeah.
We have experts. We have experts that check those tempered chassis. Okay. We have people who are so good at detecting
your camera, please.
Tempered chassis. So we are in a global world. These things can happen outside Ghana. It can happen inside Ghana, even at the port. It can happen anywhere. So you are very ignorant. You don't know what happened to the car. You just went and bought the car. For all you know, somebody tampered with it. So it's for them to establish whether this thing that has been tampered with is true. And if it's true, how
no,
do
but
you have
his point is that he has already cleared the car from the port. He paid all the requisite duties and all that. And
yes. You know, we have the monitoring team in town who goes around checking cars.
Sure.
They can stop you to check your
yes, absolutely. Even me, I've once been stopped before.
Yes. So smuggle cars into the country, a lot of them are there.
Right.
So what happens is that they stop you once in a while to check your papers, and now we have the digital system that can easily check those things. So if it's really tampered with, then it's true. I don't know if those tempered chassis tally with what is on the document that he used to clear. So you can address that issue by coming to the head office to check from them how they can address the issue, because at least we are human beings. They can consider you if really you are not privy to that tempering. Thank you.
All right, you were emphatic during your last response to the previous caller that the benchmark values has been replaced with the reference price list. Tell us about the reference price list, and then we'll close.
Yeah,
just 1 minute here.
Yeah, the reference price list is about the yardstick thing. It's about the guide. It's about a risk assessment tool that we use to, as a matter of fact, reconcile our own system.
Right.
We use it to check ourselves. Valuation officer A is valuing something wrongly, B is also doing something. How do we reconcile it? Like I said, baggage in, baggage out. What do you use to check? There's a unit, risk assessment unit, that uses those things to check. Then we use it to check over invoicing and under invoicing and all those things. And we use it to bring non-compliant declarants closer to the compliant ones, thereby having the status of economic authorized economic operators, so that they can have a trade facility.
So in a yes or no, so what in effect it means is that we don't have the benchmark values, no 30%, no anything, nothing.
No.
Okay.
There's the benchmark values, no valuation method we don't use for our values.
Okay.
We use it
so it's
to
not applicable any longer?
No. It's not. It has never been applied before. It has never been used. It has been construed as one of our values or valuation methods.
All right.
It is not true.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I will say a big thanks to Mr. Bilson Jadab Atagwa, yes, who is a Principal Revenue Officer at the Customs Technical Services Bureau at the Customs Headquarters here in Accra. We've been discussing the application of benchmark values in determining customs duty, and I will say a big thank you to you for obliging us. I will also say thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Regional Authority, Goel Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link, and indeed Meridian Port Services, who have sponsored us all this while. We are grateful to them. I also thank you for watching, and we entreat you to watch the abridged version of the show on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. And God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of the show. We entreat you to keep watching the rest of our programs and have a super week ahead. My name is Kennedy Mona. Many thanks for watching. Good evening.